Seeing snowfall right down here right now in the metro area, but just know there is snow out
Yes,
there.
there is.
And a lot of it in some
Yeah,
places.
it's
Chuck.
coming down at pretty good clips. In fact, during a traffic, I'm going to take you to two places, one near Martinsville, one near Brazil, where we've had snow all morning. Now here in Indy, the concern is the cold.
Oh, yeah.
And we have dozens and dozens and dozens of school delays at the bottom of your screen there. In fact, we've actually got more today than we did yesterday. Now added to this list, by the way, Tri-Central Community, Westdell, Western Schools, and Yorktown. So those of you in the Delaware County area are under this. Cold weather advisory issued early this morning by the National Weather Service. That's until 10 o'clock this morning. Noblesville, all of Hamilton County, all of Tipton County, up to Lafayette, west into Illinois. We've got this cold weather advisory, and I think it's a really good call. However, some of you are concerned with snow because you've got that going on. Look at all the winter storm warnings to our south in extreme southern Indiana and Kentucky, and watch this snow. The areas of blue, that's the heavier snow. Greencastle up to Rockville. Now this is starting to move into the Martinsville area as well. Most of this white stuff you see, those are just flurries. You see it dancing in the lights, and that's about it. Boy, is it cold. 9 in Indy, 8 in Muncie and Richmond, 4 in Kokomo. And as we've been mentioning this morning, we have a lot of sub-zero wind chills from 2 below in Bloomington to 13 below in Lafayette this morning. It feels like 6 below zero here in the state capital. As we go through the morning, not much changes. Going to be cold. Cloudy, still cold, 11 by noon, 17 by 3. And yes, we do have snow on the way for later on tonight, and we'll show you that in a bit. Right now, though, it's dry in Indy. However, take a look at traffic this morning, and if you're headed out, a couple of things I want you to know. One, here in Indianapolis, we are basically okay. This is the big board showing you 465. We do have a slowdown. I'm going to check that out. This just popped up near 465 in Kentucky this morning on the city's southwest side. This is a look at I-69 near Martinsville. Snow starting to come down, and these cars are making their own tracks. In fact, if you look in the lights there, you can see the snow. Now it's starting to let up a little bit in Brazil. Good morning, Clay County. Thanks for watching this morning. This snow continues to come down at a real good clip there. I think some of you will pick up a 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch, and that doesn't even include the snow that we are going to get tonight. 65 miles per hour on 65 if you're going from 465 to 865. No major delays right now, with the exception of 465 and 67. We'll check that out in just a moment, ladies.
All right, thank you, Chuck. Right now, we're working to find out if Metro Police have any leads in a double shooting on the city's far east side.
We do know that police have told 13 News they found the victims and a male and a teen girl at a laundromat along 38th Street near Midhofer Road.
So right now, police believe the man was picking up the girl and her friend as a rideshare driver. And that's when two people approached and tried to carjack that man. Investigators say the rideshare driver started to pull away and drive off when the suspect started shooting, hitting the man and one of the teens inside of the car. The man and that teen are expected to recover, and we are still looking for any information on any suspects or arrests to share with you.
Well, right now, police are asking for help after finding a woman dead on the near north side. Police tell us they found her body during a welfare check at a home around 8:45 Sunday. This was on Park Avenue near 16th and Central. Investigators say the woman suffered trauma. Right now, we're working to learn more from IMPD, including the woman's identity. If you have any information, you are asked to call police or Crime Stoppers at 262-TIPS. And in just a few hours, the Mooresville High School senior charged with planning a mass shooting on Valentine's Day at her school will be back in court. 18-year-old Trinity Shockley has a bond hearing at the Morgan County Courthouse. Shockley faces charges of conspiracy to commit murder and intimidation with the threat to commit terrorism. Our Rich and I will be there in the court. He'll provide updates from the courtroom. You can follow along also at WTHR.com.
We're getting a better idea of what may have caused a fire at the Church of Living God on the city's east side. Fire investigators believe this morning that it was accidental and caused by an overloaded power strip. This happened around 1 yesterday afternoon near 38th and Shadeland. Fire crews rushed over to the scene after several people called 911 reporting they saw the smoke and flames coming from the roof. It took about 50 firefighters to get it under control in about 2 hours. While battling the brutally cold temperatures yesterday, we do know that no one was inside of the building when the fire started, so the good news to share is that no one was hurt. Well, thousands of packages are backlogged at the U.S. Postal Service hub here in Indianapolis. We've been following this story closely, and now we're digging into issues and investigations at other facilities. Just last August, the Office of the Inspector General for the USPS released an audit of Atlanta's postal distribution hub. Just look at the pictures. It cites issues with staffing there and supervision. And we found similar audits in Richmond, Virginia and Houston, Texas. All the locations are a part of the Postmaster General's restructuring plan, and that's consolidating a lot of local offices into massive hubs. So in just 2 months, 13 News has gotten hundreds of complaints about your delivery delays out of the hub here in Indianapolis. And check out this video that we just received recently, just showing you the backup that workers tell us is only getting worse. Now Indiana's congressional delegation is demanding some answers, and so far they haven't gotten a response. Now a Postal Service representative says the agency will respond to lawmakers directly, but the timeline for that this morning is not clear.
Well, this morning we're getting new insight into a detailed report about the challenges young Hoosiers face on a daily basis.
We're also learning more about the progress they've made over the past 2 years, too. So Indiana Youth Institute has released its annual State of the Child report, and this report details key topics like education, health, and family and community.
Very important stuff, and our Matthew Foltz is looking over this report and highlighting some of the really big takeaways from it. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you both. We do know that I've been combing through this report released by the Indiana Youth Institute, and there's really some concerning trends. It shows that more of our young people are in foster homes right now. More than 18,000 children were in foster care at some point last year, compared to around 17,900 back in 2023. Now, this data was all collected from public records. Another trend that the report shows is that our children under the age of 18 are landing in juvenile court more often. We actually saw an increase of 43% from 2022 to 2023. Here in Marion County, case filings for juveniles went up from 987 to nearly 1,300. Leaders with the Indiana Youth Institute now say they're hopeful that that will all change, and it really starts at home in a healthy environment.
We also know that the median household income is going up, which is also something that's an indicator and ripples into so many other things. At the same time, we also know that our graduation rate is the highest it's been in years.
Now, right now, Indiana ranks overall at 27 in the country for children's health and well-being. However, that's a drop compared to 2023, where Indiana was at 24th. Now, we do have a link to all of this data with a full breakdown right now at WTHR.com. Coming up at 6:30, you'll hear what the data shows and what neighborhoods are actually lacking when it comes to some things that they are lacking. Now it's having an impact on children's physical and mental health.
Well, it is good to hear some progress in some areas, but you can't ignore sliding back in the rankings. So thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, no problem.
The immigration debate we know is a key issue for lawmakers. They are working this legislative session on.
And now that debate is intensifying as lawmakers focus in on how local law enforcement and employers should interact with undocumented immigrants. So right now, under this House Bill 1531, schools would no longer have to report to the immigration status of their students. However, counties and local law enforcement would be forced to stand by federal immigration laws. The bill gives more authority to the Attorney General to bring civil penalties against anyone who does not cooperate with ICE.
Recently, Todd Rokita filed a lawsuit against 2 counties. The AG's office faced tough questions about undocumented migrants in Indiana.
From our perspective, right now, because the state is not collecting data on the number of migrants coming into the state and what immigration classification they fall into, we really are left relying heavily on anecdotal evidence about how this is affecting people.
So this bill also creates penalties for employers who hire undocumented migrants and don't have properly vetting status. Also this morning, the Laken-Riley Act is being used in Jackson County to detain and deport an undocumented immigrant there. President Trump signed it into law at the end of last year. It's named for a nursing school student murdered by an undocumented immigrant last year. The law requires the federal detention of undocumented immigrants accused of serious crimes. The suspect is a man from Guatemala who the prosecutor says was in the U.S. illegally. He's accused of crashing into a car driven by 27-year-old Brad Kastner in Seymour, killing him last year. The prosecutor charged the suspect with a misdemeanor because he was not speeding or driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs.
I understand the frustration this case has caused and the loss. I know some believe I should file homicide charges. That is not possible under Indiana law.
Under this law, the man is now being deported back to Guatemala.
This week, Dateline takes an in-depth look into the Delphi murders cases.
It's a case we've, of course, been following closely for 8 years now. The murders of teenagers Abby Williams and Libby German captured headlines here in central Indiana and really around the world.
Friday night, Andrea Canning talks to the people at the center of it all. Many of them haven't been able to talk about it publicly for years now.
Join us Friday night for a 2-hour Dateline on the Delphi murders. You can watch it here on WTHR from 9 until 11.
Right now, top U.S. leaders are meeting Russian officials to start peace talks. Here at 6:45, the country missing from the negotiating table and their response to any deal that's being made.
And frightening moments on the tarmac. A Delta flight flipped while trying to land in Canada. Now we're hearing from survivors about what happened right before that accident.